Hey everybody, good morning. It's Pete. Welcome to today's episode of today's Best Stock Picks. It is Monday morning, June 1st, 2020. May is out of the way, but unfortunately the world is starting in a much different place today, specifically here in the US, with two things on the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. One amazingly exciting and one amazingly unsettling and disgraceful, the protests and how that's unfolding. And then we have on the opposite end of the world, docking in space, which is pretty exciting, and that could be a game changer in so many different ways. So actually today traders are looking, and maybe even long-term investors are looking for beyond, it's crazy, not beyond burger, beyond into space. So a little bit of light in the darkness of everything that's going on over the weekend. So we're actually going to get right into the charts, look at some opportunities. I actually have nothing on the short side again today. There's really no reason to be looking shorts. I do strongly believe, though, we need to be trailing our profitable trades up there because we are starting to get a little bit longer in the tooth. The only thing that's a little bit interesting in the market is we went well offered on Friday where we kicked into in the SPY. We had lower lows, lower highs, despite closing above the open. We had indecision pretty much all week, despite the fact that we were closing higher, where we had these tinier bodies on the candles, which represents opening and closing and basically in the same place. So it was very hard to have conviction on ideas last week. And the swing trades kind of felt that way too, where most stocks were kind of jamming back and forth. We're up one day, down the next day, and it was hard to sink your teeth in and feel massively confident. Sure, there were some ideas out there, but you really had to be a sniper on top of your game. And just as important is you had to put aside personalizing any trades that didn't follow through, because if they didn't follow through, that's just what the market was offering that week. You can't beat yourself up. The market's not like a pizza parlor where you just go every day like, I want to order 2 profitable trades, please. It doesn't work that way. We'd like it to work that way, but if you do your homework and you do your research and you create your game plan and some of them follow through, some of them don't, that's trading. There's no other way to put it. Some of them work, some of them don't. However, what you should be focusing on is when the market is obvious and your stocks are doing what they're supposed to, you need to be asking yourself why you didn't earn more when more was on the table. That's a big thing. And I talked about it a little bit last week and in today's Stocks for Breakfast video where it's funny. I remember when I first started trading, I would get angry about losing trades, but then after you get to the point where you understand how to make money, not making more on your winners actually hurts more than losing trades, because now you have a profitable track record and you prove that your trading business can make money. And hopefully through these videos, the Best Stock Picks, we're showing you some ideas that you could eventually get in there and fully understand what the great ideas look like. And then it's up to you to really get in there and understand what happens between entry and exit, right? That's the big equalizer is what did you make when you got it, right? But that's what coaching is for. If you want to find out about coaching, you can click down and get some real-time help from me, which is kind of really the way to do it, right? We actually discuss what's going on while the market's unfolding. You really can't get anything better than while it's unfolding versus 9 o'clock at night and be like, oh gosh, look what you should have done. That's horse crap. You want to do it while the market's unfolding. So we're going to take a quick look at the market. We're going to take a look at why we had indecision candlesticks last week, how that translated into some frustrating trading, quite honestly. I didn't really trade that super active last week because I just didn't see a lot that was super obvious. So anyway, you can see here last week with the indecision, the melted type candles with the smaller bodies, pretty much the entire week, and if not the last 7 or 8 days. So that translated into inside candlesticks. It translated into 1 day up, 1 day down. Which actually translated into different trade management because a lot more was not on the table. And I think probably Square and PayPal are the best ones to illustrate that because they were on fire, broke through levels, and you can kind of see here one big down day looked like profit taking, another follow through that closed higher and near the highs, and then 2 days to the upside. So very hard to get a real firm grip. We're not seeing that clean momentum up or down, and I'd love to see some down. We actually have a little bit of that in JP Morgan today, where this is actually one of my top trades to the day, but I want to be very clear. I need to see it open and lower. I want to buy this on a lower opening, not on a higher opening. A higher opening, I'm letting it go. So I need to see the first significant push of the day, not the opening, the first significant push off the open lower, looking for a spot to enter. The obvious one that's everybody's talking about today is with the space shuttle. I don't even know what we would call it. SpaceX is obviously what it's called. A lot of people are now talking about looking at Virgin Atlantic Holdings and looking for that to be a much longer term play, thinking that if you get involved now in this whole space thing, eventually starts to take off in a public way. That's my point. We're talking about much more commercial practical uses of it. Could be interesting. I mean, it's more of an investment than a trade, but certainly something that I'm considering right now. I like it over 20. I don't like it here. So to be very clear, I don't want to get involved whilst in the middle of this trading range. Sure, I can get a better price at 17 than 20, but I want to see some smart money buying and actually push it up there. I want to see what I call fuel candlesticks up in that area. One stock that I will not be trading that I'm getting a lot of questions about is Zoom. Despite the fact that Zoom broke out, it actually made new highs on Friday. It's all over the place. I personally don't find this stock to be clean. I don't find it easy to read from one day to the next. Can you trade it as a day trade? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not looking to swing trade this also. I just want to be clear. I'm getting emails and some comments about this. I'm only looking to day trade Zoom. Same thing with MRNA. I love them both as day trades. I do not like them as swing trades because to me, they're too unpredictable. And if you notice, I've stayed away from a lot of the COVID stocks for the same reason. I don't want to put, if anybody's watching this and they're taking some of the trades, I don't want to put anybody in a position where a new trial, FDA announcement, or I don't want to be anybody in a swing trade position where it could just absolutely collapse or explode if you happen to be short. But I am day trading them. I feel like day trading, I have a little bit better perspective. Actually, mRNA, I'm looking for the opposite of what we were looking for in JP Morgan. This is actually what I'd be looking for is a bullish U-turn, bearish U-turn, excuse me, where it opens higher, reverses, and trades below Friday's high, looking for a short sale. But if it opens higher and keeps going, I'm just going to let it go. I feel like this was some profit taking, $17 of a reversal. And one more push higher and then reversal, I'd be looking for it to turn around. One stock that I'd love to see everybody keep on their radar is CAR. It's a cheaper stock that a lot more people can get involved with. That's one of the questions I get all the time. Stop talking about these $300 stocks. Well, CAR and Penn, I've been talking about for well over a week and a half now. We were looking for CAR to pause above this breakout. It did, so we're looking to initiate new longs here. If you happen to not be long, 2250 would be the level that I'm looking for over there. Target's another one in the news today. They actually announced that they're going to be shuttering 175 stores because of the riots and other reasons. So obviously the stock is gapping lower today. It's going to be interesting to see if we actually gap lower, stay lower, and get below that 114 level, which would be considered a potential change of trend. So if we were actually just drawing it without knowing the news, this is actually what we'd be looking at right now. And the next step I'd be doing is drawing that. It's not a change of trend until we get below this level here where we actually just trade it through. So it's got to get below that 114 level for me. I'm not trading the news, so to speak, as far as I just want to get short. However, it is going to be a stock in play today and probably this week. So keep an eye on that for the stock to pull back. Some trades that I do like today. This stock ZS has actually been in the news and it was very actively traded in the community on Friday, and you can see why. Monster green fuel candlestick that I would call. Now, the fact that the stock just jumped $22, almost 30% on Friday. Again, it matches that same criteria of what types of stocks you want to look at. You make a decision whether you want to swing trade or day trade this. I'm staying away as a swing trade, but it absolutely meets the criteria for a day trade to pay attention to today. One that I really do like, which we can trade as a day trade or a swing trade, is CrowdStrike, excuse me. You can see that there was resistance here at 84. We got through that resistance. Next level is going to be 100. I actually love this stock long as it stays above Friday's high, which it looks like it's going to open above Friday's high. So I need to see the first pause or pullback to look for a new long there as well. Something I haven't noticed in a while is Pan American Silver, actually really clean. Let's actually go on the weekly charts to get a much better perspective. You can see where we are now. We're actually looking at the next significant levels are all the way up there at 42. So if we go back to the daily chart, I like this as a swing trade. This is only the third day through there. I like it as a swing trade over 30. And obviously below 28 would be the stop loss, with the target being up there where we said, which is around 42, which goes back a couple of years. So we're looking at $12 there. So basically making 12 to risk 2, or kind of like that. Work has been on the charts as well. Really super clean breakout. You can see we finally got above 29, finally held there. If you look at the daily charts and the daily candlestick specifically, you can see that there is not necessarily clean big green or big red candles from day to day. This is not a stock to trade with momentum. It's probably a little more likely a stock where you would get involved and hold and use moving averages, because these intraday, the day-to-day swings are not closing at one extreme and opening at the other extreme, and you're seeing clean momentum. We're not seeing that, but that doesn't invalidate the idea. It actually is a nice trade above Friday's highs as well. What else do we have? Grub was actually in last week's list. Keep an eye on this as well. It's got a trade above 58 and hold there. And I already went over JP Morgan, something that I haven't talked about in a couple of weeks that is kind of in play a little bit as well. W going to have a big gap to the upside today. I'm looking for this to be long, but because of the gap, it's tightening up where the profit taking is, because right now it's bid at 180, which is 5% higher from Friday's close, which actually puts it up where there's only a $10 profit target after it's already moved from 145. So we're essentially gone from 145 to 180. That's a $35 move. I don't want to buy into that $35 move. I'd rather see it pause around the 190 level, probably tomorrow if we get some follow through, and then look for the next swing trade high. So keep that in your tracking journal. And the last one for today is Uber. I love the breakout in Uber here. I like the solid green candlestick. I love the clean trending move to the upside. Next stop is 42, which is actually still $6 away. It looks like it's going to open a little bit lower today, back into that trading range, which is not the worst thing in the world for a new long. So Uber is another one that I'm looking for as a slower grinding swing trade, looking for it to get up to 42. And you can see here clearly, hopefully I'm training your eyes now at this point. There's a big difference between this type of price action where all red, all green, versus the melted candles or indecision type candles that we're getting here. So you'd manage these a little bit differently. Again, probably with moving averages, because there's not a lot of momentum, but that doesn't invalidate the swing trading idea. You just have to be a lot more patient on those types of ideas. So it looks like the futures are just down just a little bit, which is honestly to me is a little bit shocking, considering how bad the news politically was over the weekend. And I'm not turning this into a political event. It was just shocking to watch. And that, quite honestly, in my opinion, disgraceful, what happened to George Floyd. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it affects the market. The market is obviously trading on its own. It has nothing really to do with that kind of stuff, but we'll see what it does to the country as a whole here. And let's pray for everybody who is involved in that situation. So those are today's stocks to look at. The market is well offered on the daily candlestick, but still well bid on the weekly. And I'm specifically talking about the SPY. So that as long as the SPY continues to have higher highs and higher lows, the better trade is to the long side. It's really just a question of the entry. So I caution anybody who's out there looking for shorts because the market's traveled too far. You'd be missing out on 7 weeks of really good trading to the long side. So let's dig in today. Let's create a good game plan, and let's make some money today, everybody. Have a great week.